Fire away. So, well, I guess I'm a fire away here for you. So, hey, listen, we took Clyde in the first round, and we just think he is a heck of a player. I know some of the coaches at LSU, and they just speak so highly of him, as does the coaches that had to play against him. Brett Veach just did a phenomenal job of manipulating that and working through it, and getting us to where we were in a position where we could take him. My hat goes off to his guys that busted their tail to get information on him, and he's got this huge heart and ability. When you put the tape on, he's one of those guys that just jumps out at you. And Brett mentioned he's like a Brian Westbrook type, the kid that I had in Philadelphia for all those years. And those kind of players like Brian, I mean, Brian, in my mind, is one of those future Hall of Fame players that could do everything for you. And even though they weren't the biggest guys, he knew how to play the game. That's how we felt about this kid. He knows how to play the game. He can block for you. He can run routes. He's got tremendous vision and lateral abilities with cuts and route running, all those things. He's just a real good football player, and he's got the heart of a tiger, as they'd say at LSU. So we feel really excited about him. And then Willie, listen, Willie, I think you heard some of the commentators mention that he was a first round value player that had a couple issues at the college level, and one of which I got a little bit blown out of perspective, but we did our homework on everything there, and Brett did again a great job with that, along with his guys. His scouts just dug in on that to try to find out exactly what the issues were, and then how the kid handled them, and so I've got a close relationship with their head coach there, and well, actually, he was the head coach there. He's now at Florida, but he recruited him, and so he had an opportunity to talk to me about him and what kind of kid he is, and kind of the background of him, where he came from, and what he's all about family wise. So we felt very comfortable taking him at that spot. It also helps to have, it helps to have the people in the locker room that we do, with Tyron and Frank. They'll take him under their wing, Hitch. That whole linebacking room is a very tight group. They'll take him in and make sure he's in good hands there. So, and teach him the right way, how we do things in the National Football League, along with House and Britt. They'll work with him there. And, Coach Spags has also got that linebacker background too. So he, as a coach, and he's got a good feel and all that. So he was the linebacker we wanted. And it was kind of weird how it all worked out, and we were able to get him. We were kind of holding our breath there at the end, but we're sure glad we got him. With that, time's yours. Ask me what you'd like.
Adam, go ahead.
Hey, Andy. Wanted to ask you about Edwards-Helaire, how he fits in with what you guys do offensively, what role maybe you see for him right away, and what he maybe gives you that you didn't have from any of your other backs on the roster.
Yeah, so listen, I think he fits in with the backs we have. You can't do it, I don't think, with just one guy in today's football. So we got a whole lot of these guys now, and you got a few things you can draw from. With him, his strengths are his ability to run the zone scheme and the gap scheme that they did at LSU. He has a unique ability to push the line of scrimmage in the run game and make his lateral cut and then accelerate up the field. And I tell you, that's what he kind of separated from the other guys with. He's got a real knack for that. And then he, in the pass game, that stop-start thing. So as much as you get single coverage with linebackers on that backside, we do so much 3-by-1. As much single coverage as you get back there, It gives you some nice matchups potentially. With his ability to run the ball and run routes and catch the football. So I think those are all pluses.
Let's go to Vahe.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, Vi.
Just in a sort of broader sense, I wonder between what you've added so far and all the continuity you have with your coaching staff and so many starters apparently coming back, how strongly do you feel that you're sort of built to absorb any off season that's a little truncated and perhaps even a schedule that's altered from what you might usually have? I mean, do you feel like your position is pretty strong in all this because of those circumstances?
Well, if you take the first part of truncated, sometimes we feel like we're in a trunk right now. So it's a unique time for all of us. And if there's one thing that's crazy, it is for all of us in this country. And we're all sensitive to that, but we're also looking forward to blossoming out of this thing and getting on with things. And so, but with the way the off season is and the way it's starting to develop, we'll be in our second week of this as we start up next week with this virtual off season. So to have people that kind of know what you're doing and how you go about business, I think helps both the coaches and the players, and also with Brett and his crew. So to have all that continuity there, I think is important. Brett worked like crazy to make sure that we're able to retain guys. I mean, he busted his tail on that this offseason, trying to keep as much the team together as you possibly can with this crazy cap stuff that you got to deal with. So here we sit, and I don't think it hurts you. And then, Brett's going to get in here and he bangs out these drafts. I mean, he does a great job with it. So he's already brought 2 good players to Kansas City. It's just going to make us better. Both these guys bring things that are going to help us and have a chance to help us quickly. So, as long as the guys get in and do the things that we expect them to do and that they've done in the past, they'll be able to help us.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney.
Coach, thank you for doing this. I had a question regarding Clyde. You said that Brett Veach needed to get you guys in the right position to take him. I imagine that means just addressing and completing the team as the offseason went along. So I was wondering if you could just elaborate on how he did that. And then with the linebacker, we won't get Steve Spagnuolo. So I just was wondering what he feels about the things that he can do with his defense.
Yeah. So to get you in the right position, well, I felt, and this is where Brett is so good, he's going to get in and he's going to hammer Eric Bieniemy. He's going to hammer the offensive coaches, every one of them. He's going to do the same thing on defense. He's going to hammer me. And so he's going to say, what do you think our weaknesses are? Or what can we get better at? We're coming off a championship caliber team, but you want to get better. So where can you strengthen the team? And so one of the things was at the running back position with somebody that's a little bit different flavor, in particular that can come out of the backfield and do the things that this kid is capable of doing. And Damien's very good at it too, but this is a different. Damien's a big old kid. This kid's a little bit smaller and can do some. They're all different. They all have a little bit of different stuff. So our thing as coaches, we got to kind of formulate it and make sure that we get the best group there that can go in and dominate on game day. That's what you strive to do. So, but Brett worked that whole thing and did it to I thought perfection. And I think as you guys watch it, you all have the tape now, so you're able to go back and look at this guy. And he's one of those kids that you go, okay, I mean, you could use this and you could use that, but man, this guy just jumps off the screen at you. I mean, he just jumps and you go, boy, would he be something in this offense, with all these guys we've got. So Brett worked it and we were able to get him at that 32nd pick, which is great. And then Spags loves Willie. So, and House, he knows, Coach House knows all the guys that have coached Willie, and he's real close with those guys. And so he knows all the ins and outs of the kid and what the kid's all about. Spags loved the way he played. He's reckless. He fits right in with the Tyron and and Frank and that crew that whole group on defense that just like cuts it loose and gets after people. So, and he didn't grow up far from Chris. I mean, he's right in there, that same kind of neighborhood where Chris was at. Small town guy, very, very small town. The head coach told me, the old head coach, the one that's in Florida now, Coach Mullen, he told me that he went on a recruiting trip to go see them. They got stuck in the mud. They had to get he lives way out in the country, got stuck in the mud and had to get a tow truck to pull him out. So, but I'll tell you, again, you watch the tape on him and he's one of those guys, you go, who is that guy? I mean, he's making plays all over the place. So, the linebacker coach I know loved him. Britt was part of that too, and he was kind of there. He and Britt and House kind of had him as the guy. That was their guy. They loved what they saw, and Brett, brings those stacks to the guys, the different players, and they said, man, this kid here just plays. Wow, see a good one. So anyway, that's where we're at. Yep.
All right, guys, we've got time for a few more. Let's go Nate Taylor, Matt Derrick, and then Vahe. Nate, you are up. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you. I have a two-part question. With Willie, how much did you guys get to talk and communicate with him before, obviously today, and taking him in the draft? And then secondly, with just 5 games of film from this past year, how much did you feel like your scouting department could really find where he would fit in your system, even though you have a limited amount of film to work with?
Yeah, well, they were on Willie early, so we were able to virally talk to virtually talk to Willie, and so it was great. The only problem was Willie had to be in his car and he had to drive into town, to be able to access his instrument there to talk. So that was the only tough part. So we did everything from a car, where he could get enough connection there to do these things. But it all worked out great, and the rules were that you could visit with him for what I think it was 4 hours a week or something of that sort. So the guys, they got in there and dug in and talked with him. I had an opportunity to get on one with him and spend an hour with him, and we just felt that he was a nice fit.
Okay, let's go to Matt Derrick.
I'll tell you what's neat about both these guys is both of them love football. So I think you guys will appreciate that when they get here.
Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, I really appreciate the time as always.
You bet.
With Willie, how do you see him fitting in, with Anthony and Damian coming back? And also, as Nate mentioned, with just the 5 games played and having maybe a limited games in his college career, is he going to coming in and maybe a little bit more raw than maybe a typical second-round pick?
Yeah, like all these guys that we get, we try to make them get in and earn that right to play and that whole thing. So give them an opportunity to show, but at the same time, you got to get in and you got to do it. You got to handle it mentally. You got to handle it physically. And Willie's been a great special teams player also. So that's always an avenue for linebackers and safeties to kind of get in the picture of things. And so he'll have a role there, and then he'll try to battle to get himself into a starting position somewhere in there. Spags uses everybody, right? I mean, he finds a spot for everybody that suits up. They get an opportunity to have a little package. And, again, that's what makes Spags so great, but it also gives his guys an opportunity to feel like they contribute. So I think he'll do that same thing with Willie.
Okay, Vahe, do you want to close us out?
Sure. Hey, Andy, just sort of the thing we haven't had a chance to really talk about, how odd has this whole process been? And I know it's different than anything you've had to do before, but I know you were pretty prepared for it. Can you just share with us what it's been like?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think for us old guys, coaches wise, at least, it's been an opportunity to learn all this technology. So they've got a setup in my basement here that's crazy good. and we've been able to work through it. I mean, I've been impressed with the draft and kind of how it's gone off. There haven't been too many glitches there, and you get a unique opportunity to get into people's homes and see them. Kids, you get to see them. My wife, after our first pick, she got a bunch of text messages after the first pick, which she would have never gotten before. So I mean, it's little things like that have been a bit different. My hat goes off to Brett and his crew for gathering information, setting up all the chats that we had with the players, where you have to actually orchestrate. Not everybody sits in a nice house here and has access. Willie being one of those. I mean, you got to time it up where you get Willie to be able to drive into town, get someplace where he's got access, and then talk. And in his car in that case. So everybody's got a little bit of a unique situation, but the guys have powered through that. We've done the same thing with our players. I gave the coaches last Monday to just kind of get the technology figured out with their players. And then I called all of them to check on it. And I jumped in on a few of the chats with the players, and they all had it figured out. So, I mean, they were in and going, and it's been really a pretty smooth thing going here. So hopefully we can get back to it. I think we all want to do that, right? Within being smart and safe, we'd all like to be able to get back and get things back to normal. But, that might take a little bit. And if it does, then we keep pounding it out the best we can do. And we're always going to try to maximize that with a positive attitude. Put on the Tommy Bahama and let's go. Hey, doggone it, you just feel a little bit better, man.